Good afternoon and thank you for joining me, Glen-Nora Tjipura, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, Swapo's headquarters contractor linked to tax fraud, bribery, and corruption. Namandje blast bitter losers over Netumbo candidacy, and NYSS workers demand minimum wage. Do stay tuned for these stories and more news on NMH at 1. In our midday news update, the 33rd Police Day in Erongo took place in Walvis Bay yesterday, and the commemoration will take place today. Let's take a look. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia, and right after the break, we'll be getting into that.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into our visual news, starting off in the coast, Walvis Bay Municipal Councillor Ronald Bramwell has tabled a motion to implement a performance management system for the staff of the Walvis Bay municipality as soon as possible. According to Bramwell, the purpose of the motion is to ensure that the persons employed by the municipality are doing their level best at all times according to their job descriptions. Let's get into it.
And an honor for me to actually present this motion, but I must say it has been a long time coming. It formed part of my first motion a year and a half ago, sorry, 2.5 years ago, but I'm pleased to say that we are slowly moving in the right direction. Slowly but surely we will come to a point where everybody in this whole staff of the municipality can be held accountable for all their actions, and all will be pulling together as a team. Now, the object of the motion is to implement a performance management system for the staff of the Walvis Bay municipality as soon as possible. Please note, as soon as possible. For the rationale and the motivation, for the past 10 years or more, there has not been a performance management system in place for the Walvis Bay municipal staff. This has led to a total collapse of the work ethic which allows the staff who are not performing their duties according to their job descriptions to be rewarded at the same rate as the staff who are doing their jobs according to the best of their ability for the Walvis Bay municipality when it comes to salary and pay increases. The morale of the staff is therefore always adversely affected by the absence of a performance management system. The proposal to be considered by Council, the purpose of this motion is to ensure that the persons who are employed by the Walvis Bay municipality are doing their level best at all times according to their individual job descriptions for the good of the establishment, and thereby providing a good level of service to the residents which justifies the expenditure of the monies paid by the residents whom they serve. Mr. Chairman, I so move. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next video, the Namibia Students Financial Assistance Fund launched its online application platform yesterday at the NASFAF headquarters in Windhoek. Addressing the gathering, Dr. Ita Kanji Murangi, Minister of Higher Education, emphasized the critical nature of selecting institutions with accredited courses when seeking financial assistance. She underscored NASFAF's significant support, revealing a substantial investment of $7.4 billion Namibian in funding students over the past 5 years. The application will be open until the 29th of February 2024, giving students 3 months to apply. This video is by Junior Kapofi.
Now, I must say that for the past few years, this has been the practice, online application. And this means that a lot of efforts have been put into in ensuring that this process is effective, is thorough, and it reaches each and every would-be eligible student in the 14 regions of our country. And I believe, as we are doing this morning to launch this, that will be the trend. The effectiveness will be multiplied or doubled or tripled, so that those who are within the rural part of our country, but they are potential students to benefit from this fund, are also reached. NASFAF was established by an Act of Parliament, Act number 26 of 2000, with the mandate of providing financial assistance to eligible Namibian students at approved institutions of higher learning. I must stress the fact that recognized institutions, it is common knowledge for some of us, including NASFAF itself, that there are indeed those youngsters or students who end up in institutions that are not recognized, but still want the fund to fund them. It is not possible. I think it is important that each and everyone who aspires to be funded by NASFAF, of course, we know what the requirements are. You perform at grade 11 and grade 12. But also you make sure that you understand what are the requirements of NASFAF for me to be considered. And above everything, what institution am I intending to attend? Is it recognized? Does it offer accredited programs? And. So prior to your application to any institution, please, it is important that you assess and make sure that the institution you want to enter is one that is recognized in this country, registered in this country, with programs also that are recognized and accredited.
That concludes our visual news segment. On the other side of the break, the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Let's take a look at our daily newspapers, starting off with the Namibian Sun's front page, which reports that Swapo Politburo member Sisa Namandje says the party followed its procedures to the letter in making Vice President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah its candidate for the presidential election in 2024. Those suggesting otherwise are naysayers and bitter losers whose political careers were built on spreading misinformation, the seasoned lawyer said on the Evening Review yesterday. Namandje was responding to Independent Patriots for Change President Dr. Panduleni Itula, who on the same show on Monday argued that Nandi-Ndaitwah cannot be considered a legitimate candidate because Swapo procedures were disregarded to declare her as such. Moving over to page 3, the government failed the employees of the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation in the aftermath of a nationwide strike in 2021. This is according to parliamentarians who this week interrogated an Information Ministry delegation alongside the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resources on the strike. After NBC employees undertook industrial action for better salaries over 2 years ago, some faced foreclosures on their homes as a result of subsequent deductions, while members of management allegedly paid themselves performance bonuses of over 5.4 million Namibian dollars. Now moving over to the Republicans' front page, it reports that financial support is wanted for a 7-month-old baby girl who was delivered in the Roach Elohim Foundation Swakopmund's baby box over the weekend. Baby Joy has hydrocephalus, a condition also known as hydrocephalus, and urgently needs to undergo surgery to relieve pressure on her brain and reduce her pain and discomfort. On page 3, a scam alert circulated on social media this week regarding a man who was allegedly almost scammed out of 4,000 Namibian dollars for a fake speeding fine. Now, according to Aleta Skippers, whose husband was the alleged target, he was contacted by an individual claiming to be Deputy Commissioner Van Heerden. The man allegedly used a photo of former Harda Police Regional Commander Andreas van der Bijl on WhatsApp. The couple claims the scammer sent them a warrant of arrest printed on a Justice Ministry letterhead marked with stamps from the ministry and the Office of the Judiciary. Luckily, we realized early that it was a scam when the scammer failed to answer basic questions surrounding the apparent speeding ticket, and we did not pay the requested amount, Skippers said. Now, Skippers said the scammer asked for the money to be paid via an e-wallet and promptly declined the offer of having the money delivered personally. Now moving over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, it reports that in future, the enforcement of repossessed property will have to be handled in accordance with stricter laws. A new draft law has been submitted to the National Council and only needs to be approved by banks. Will have to rethink their money lending strategy. Now, this law gives homeowners the chance to fight back against banks. They get a say in how they can repay the money. This is what Legal Assistance Center Director Tony Hancock had to say about the bill currently before the National Council to amend the Upper Tribunal Act 16 of 1990 to introduce restrictions on the sale of property in foreclosure. Now, on page 2, the Algemeine Zeitung is attending to Fisheries Minister Derek Claassen, who has expressed concern about increasing bycatch, fishing far in excess of allocated quotas, and growing illegal fishing in Namibia's white waters. Particularly on the northern coast, unauthorized fishing activities are on the rise. The minister said his ministry was observing a worrying trend in bycatches in the fishing industry, particularly of hake, mackerel, and sardines. Now, after this short break, we'll continue with our newspaper review.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Still with our newspaper review, the Namibian reports that a senior employee at a Chinese construction company that constructed Swapo's new headquarters was arrested this week for allegedly buying a fake tax clearance certificate, adding more controversy to a company accused of bribing procurement officials in Namibia. Xiao Liao, a finance manager of Unique Construction and Engineering, was arrested on Tuesday after he allegedly bought the tax clearance certificate outside the office of the Namibia Revenue Agency in the Windhoek Central Business District of $600 Namibian. On page 3, the European Union and the United Nations Populations Fund have committed over $30 million Namibian to combat gender-based violence in Namibia. According to EU Ambassador to Namibia Beatrice Martins, GBV remains unacceptably high, especially in some regions where rates soar between 28% and 42%. Martins was speaking at the signing ceremony and contribution agreement of Gender Equality Combating Gender-Based Violence project yesterday in Windhoek. Over to the New Era's front page, its lead story reports that the Namibian government is in the process of rolling out a food voucher system to all 14 regions after the program was successfully piloted in the Oshana region. This forms part of the Commodity and Beneficiary Management Information System, an alternative drought relief delivery mechanism being piloted by the Office of the Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah said the system digitizes and automates the food relief beneficiary system, whereby beneficiaries will use vouchers to redeem their food items at local retail shops. On page 3, employees of the National Youth Security Services are frustrated with their employer for making empty promises about them getting minimum wages. Yesterday, the employees alongside the Namibia Transport Allied Workers Union held a peaceful demonstration and handed over a petition to the National Youth Service. It is their stance that they need higher wages to improve their standard of living, reduce poverty, and maintain social peace. The Market Watch reports that Namibia's reliance on fluctuating customs union revenues to support the state budget presents some challenges, while it also provides opportunity for growth and resilience. PSG said the Southern African Customs Union receipts are a key source of government revenue, usually accounting for between 25% and 30% of total government revenue. However, SACU receipts are volatile because the size of the SACU common revenue pool fluctuates annually according to the uneven growth of non-fuel imports in the SACU region, which is mainly driven by South African imports. RMB and Capricorn to join forces for COP28. An update on this coming up next as we move over to economic news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive. I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss my .NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into our economic news, RMB Namibia and Capricorn Group will join forces at the conference of the parties COP28 in a panel discussion focusing on innovative finance for the just transition on Monday at the Namibian Pavilion in Dubai. The panel discussion will see specialists expand on their experience in pioneering innovative finance structures, as well as highlight the opportunities in accessing different pools of capital to drive Africa and particularly Namibia's energy ambitions. This includes the considerations Namibia will need to think about and how finance can achieve the dual goal of environmental and social sustainability. Let's get into our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.77, against the euro at 20.56, 2 Namibian dollars and 64 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the Namibia Stock Exchange, Capricorn went down at 0.10%. Overall index went down, closing at 0.66%, and local index also went down, closing at 0.01%. On the commodities market, gold, copper, and platinum went down, while Brent crude oil went up, trading at 1.41%, going for $83.03 per barrel. Let's get into our news from Africa. The United Nations heralded Wednesday the forthcoming scale-up of malaria vaccination across Africa after the first shipment of doses arrived in Cameroon. Since 2019, more than 2 million children have been jabbed in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi in a pilot phase, resulting in substantial reductions in severe malaria illness and hospitalizations. Now, the scheme is moving into a broader rollout with 331,200 doses of RTSS, which is the first malaria vaccine recommended by the UN's World Health Organization, landing Tuesday in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé. The delivery signals that scale-up of vaccination against malaria across the highest risk areas on the African continent will begin shortly. Now, after this short break, we'll get into our international news. Henry Kissinger, a diplomatic powerhouse whose roles as a national security advisor and Secretary of State under 2 presidents left an indelible mark on U.S. foreign policy and earned him a controversial Nobel Peace Prize, died on Wednesday at age 100. Kissinger died at his home in Connecticut, according to a statement from his geopolitical consulting firm, Kissinger Associate Incorporated. No mention was made of the circumstances. It said he would be interred at a private family service to be followed at a later date by a public memorial service in New York City. After the break, we'll be getting into your sports news. Getting into our local sports news, Ghana will host the brave Gladiators of Namibia today at 3:30 p.m. in the first leg of the WACN qualifier match at the Accra Sports Stadium. The team will travel to South Africa for the second leg on the 5th of December, with the winner on aggregate qualifying for Morocco 2024. Head coach of the Gladiators, Paulus Shipanga, said the weather conditions are not what they are used to, as it is very humid and the players struggled a bit on the first day of training. Moving over, Netball Namibia's president Rebecca Hohases has outlined her plans after being re-elected to the position of Africa Netball Vice President for Development. Hohases says her election as Vice President for Development at the Continental Body's annual general meeting held in Gaborone, Botswana on Monday is not only to the greater benefit of the country, but is also an opportunity to strengthen the continent's development efforts as a whole. Now, after this short break, we'll be getting into your international sporting news. Manchester United are facing elimination from the Champions League in the group stage after squandering a 2-goal lead to draw 3-3 with Galatasaray in Istanbul on Wednesday, while Arsenal and PSV Eindhoven secured qualification for the last 16. Moving over to our next story, Mamelodi Sundowns claimed a 2-0 win over Tshwane Derby rivals SuperSports United at the Lucas Moripe Stadium on Wednesday evening and returned to the top of the DStv Premiership standings. The Brazilians, who had not played in the domestic league since last September, were leapfrogged at the head of the table by Cape Town City this past weekend. After this short break, we'll be getting into the news highlights.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Getting into the news highlights from today's broadcast, the United Nations heralded Wednesday the forthcoming scale-up of malaria vaccination across Africa after the first shipment of doses arrived in Cameroon. Henry Kissinger, a diplomatic powerhouse whose roles as a national security advisor and secretary of state under two presidents left an indelible mark on U.S. foreign policy and earned him a controversial Nobel Peace Prize, died on Wednesday at the age of 100. Ghana will host the brave Gladiators of Namibia today at 3:30 p.m. in the first leg of the WACN qualifier match at the Accra Sports Stadium. The team will travel to South Africa for the second leg on the 5th of December. And those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia and beyond. From me, Glen-Nora Tjipura. Until next time.